You know how they always say, could like the best college football team that kills everybody, Alabama, they're like, could they beat the Browns? And everybody says, there's no way it could ever happen. And it happens every year. There's always the talk of, could Alabama beat the worst team in the NFL? And it happens every year without fail. Now you're asking me, could the UConn women beat the UConn men? And here's what I'll say. Of the things that they have talked about, like could the Alabama team beat the Browns? Or could UConn women beat the UConn men? And I would say that the UConn women have the best chance of any of those choices because they are well-tuned machine, coached, perfectly coached, perfect execution, perfect ball movement. The only facet of the game that they wouldn't dominate is physically. Now, I get it. I would say the men have a major advantage physically in the blocks, getting down to the block and getting to the rim. They're not going to have a problem with UConn women. But I think they will have a massive problem with UConn women in ball movement, offense against the UConn men's defense, which is putrid at best. Absolutely terrible. So I think the UConn women could move the ball and score at will against UConn men. I don't think they could dance with them physically in the paint. But everywhere else on the floor, I think they would get their shots, and I think that they have a shot to beat them because I think UConn men's basketball team sucks so bad, I actually don't think they can shoot, score, or defend the women because they suck that bad. So I will say they have a shot because of all the things they do so well, and the men do nothing well at all except play thug, man-type basketball, so they're going to hammer the women in the paint, and they're going to kill them, in physically speaking. But everywhere else, the women are better than the men. The women at UConn are so much better than the men's basketball team, it's not even funny. Know that when you go to bed tonight. Know that. Physically, they're screwed. Okay, but pure basketball, if they just move the ball, and play defense, and they call a fair game, in other words, if the refs call a fair game, you're not allowed to hammer them, you get fouls. So if they play the game by ball movement alone, and good passing and good shooting, I think they have a chance against them, because they're that bad. The men's team is that bad that I don't think they could move the ball and shoot better than the women. If the game were determined outside of the paint, and if they played the game, I know this sounds crazy, but if they played the game and they weren't allowed to go to the hole, in other words, they weren't allowed to go in the paint, if it was shoot only from outside the paint, if that was the rule, I think the women could beat them. Because I think the UConn men's team is that bad, and I mean it. So you can say whatever you want. Those women can play basketball flat out. There's no questions asked. And I think the men's coach, Gino Auriemma, is better than Kevin Ollie. Hands down. Better coach, hands down. And I think he knows it, too.